Bomani tweeted out some people need to watch the whole thing because he's made some news talking about JJ Redick and Kendrick Perkins. And so there's a bunch of clips out, but there's just a quote out about what he said about JJ Redick and Kendrick Perkins and Nikola Jokic as bid for their third straight MVP. But here's the quote. If you try to make the argument that something doesn't involve race, might not be the best look to talk over a black man on live television, tell him an argument was flat out wrong, and cut him off over and over again. Let's be fair, man. White people aren't always racially biased, but you can never be 100% sure. You're acting like Perk's crazy for bringing it up. That's what's crazy. This is America, Jack. And I get that Perk and JJ are just talking about the NBA MVP, but chastising us for saying something might be racist in the land where racism was perfected. That's how you get pats on the back from folks I know JJ Redick does not want on his side. I could go on, but basically he's just insinuated that, you know, all white people are racist until proven innocent, and that on a debate show, JJ Redick isn't allowed to talk over or shout down or interrupt Kendrick Perkins, or that's a bad look, on a debate show, on a show where Stephen A. Smith routinely loud talks whoever, from Skip Bayless to whoever is on the show now. And Bomani said that something over Twitter about everybody, you need to watch the whole show. I don't want to be taken out of. So I made the mistake of watching the whole show this morning while I worked out, and it's bad. I mean, it is really, this dude is, I've never seen someone that's been on TV this long that is as stiff and awkward and robotic as Bomani. And it all just seems like a gimmick, but TJ, I'm going to ask you to go first, just because, you know, all white people are racist until Bomani proves otherwise, or until they get Bomani's stamp of approval. That's just a dangerous logic. That has a boomerang of, you know, that justifies, well, you know, all black people are criminals until I say they're not.
The land that perfected slavery.
No. Perfected, not slavery, racism.
Racism, excuse me. Thank you. The land that perfected racism. What? According to who?
And I know. Who are the other candidates?
Yeah.
I mean, with Germany under Hitler, they didn't perfect it. We topped Germany. I don't know.
Apparently so. Fought a war where mostly white people died for the freedom of. I mean, it's
incredible.
Bomani is even when he was somewhat relevant, and he is not at this point. He was, I mean, High Noon might have been.
We're talking about him right now on the show, but go ahead.
Yeah, it took a really stupid thing for him. When was the last time Bomani Jones made news for an opinion that wasn't race baiting?
Yeah, well, that's true.
High Noon may have been the worst show in television history. I got into with him during the Mizzou protest stuff from years ago. And he's, wherever there's a race issue, he's sticking his stupid nose there to say something about, you don't know because you're white, stay out of it. I'm the arbiter of truth here. And it's just such a nonsense approach that the idea that, I mean, he actually said it, you can never be 100% sure. Abraham Lincoln, you think Abraham Lincoln wasn't, I mean, you can never be 100% sure? I don't understand. The assumption that you are fully guilty and you have to now go out of your way more than you otherwise would for a white person or for an Asian person to show me you're not racist towards black people is itself racist because you're now treating them differently than you would.
Look, Bomani purports to be smart and nuanced and layered, and he's not. He's very simplistic because all people except for Jesus Christ have biases. All people have racial biases for the most part. The smart people make great effort to combat their biases and to be fair. And that's why many people adopt a biblical worldview or religious worldview to combat their failings and their biases. And so Abraham Lincoln, for all I know, had racial biases. I know for a fact I have racial biases. I know my dad did. I assume most people have racial biases. Do they try to combat them? Bomani does not try to combat his. That's my problem. And there are white people and black people that have laid their lives down combating racial bias.
Lincoln's one of them.
Yes. And people, look, again, go read, sing the Battle Hymn Republic. Soldiers singing songs about knowing they're sacrificing their lives to benefit people that don't look like them. It's just an idiotic statement for someone the media celebrates as really smart. It's what someone in the backwoods on a front porch would say after drinking too much moonshine. And we keep dressing it up as, oh, this is really intelligent, and let's put this on HBO. And Cosell, that's what I was like, this show comes on after Bill Maher. And whether I agree with Bill Maher or not, he's smart. Yeah. And he's a clever, smooth broadcaster. Bomani's not smart. He's not smooth. He's not clever. The show feels like it was written by Twitter. And it's just dumb. It's not smart. It's not HBO. It's pandering. But Cosell, I don't know. Your thought. He jumped into the Kendrick Perkins, JJ Redick deal. Your take.
Well, we know this much. This does not need to be proven. Bomani Jones is a race peddler, and that's been proven. But it's almost like if you look at his track record, this would be like Nathaniel Hackett getting one head coaching job after another. Because if you actually look at the ratings he's derived on every show that he's done, every platform, he's been a colossal failure. But for some reason, and we know what it is, he keeps getting one shot after another. And TJ brought up High Noon. I watched some clips of it years ago. That show was so bad that I felt as though Pablo Torre was going through Asian hate. That thing was one of the most uncomfortable shows that I've ever seen. It was just funny because it would be like, I'm Bomani Jones. I want to say something. And Pablo, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm like, oh, my God. Pablo, I know it's a terrible show. Do your part, but maybe he was playing his part because all throughout his media career, Jones has been allowed to basically say stuff unfettered, and a bunch of woke white liberals like Levitard and his crew are just like clapping it up like seals with almost no pushback. So as that happens over time, you start to think everyone actually agrees with me or this formula works, which is grifting that what he does. And let me go back to his ratings real fast. It reminds me of that meme where on one side it's that one big guy and it says, man, put on a shirt. And the other one is Lizzo empowering. If you actually look at Jones's ratings compared to like other things, Jones is the HBO ESPN version of the WNBA. No matter what his ratings are, they're good. Never mind the XFL and these other leagues are actually doing pretty good ratings in comparison to the WNBA, but it's never broached. So, it is interesting. He will talk about white privilege and supremacy over and over again. He gets Bomani privilege because he fits he checks certain boxes. I find him to be wholly,
checks them all.
And he is, I just almost find him contemptible.
The whole alphabet.
But he has found a niche. I will say that. He has probably failed upwardly mobile, probably better than George W. Bush. And for that, hey, I can't knock the hustle.
It's funny. I knew Bomani at the infancy of his career at ESPN, and he had some talent. But he's never been held to a standard of performance, never any accountability for anything that he does. And I can remember, and I don't know if this is fair for me to say this, and so I'm not trying to be unfair. I'm not trying to draw unneeded controversy. Won't clean it up, won't make it any better. But I'm about to drop a name. I can remember early in his tenure at ESPN, because I was a supporter. Ralph Wiley was a supporter of Bomani. We both were. And I remember Bill Simmons calling BS on Bomani. And me and Bill Simmons got in a phone argument once about Bill Simmons is like, the guy's never done anything. He's never produced anything. Show me his work, Jason. You know, show me where he's putting out 2 or 3 articles in a week, in a month that are any good. He goes, they're just handing this guy stuff. And I was like, oh, it's early. He just needs an opportunity. Big defender. And I have to admit, Bill Simmons was right. And I you know, I don't want to get Bill Simmons in any trouble. You know, he plays woke for the most part now too, and doesn't say what he really thinks. But at that time, he was adamant, like, hey man, show me some production. You know, have a 600-yard rushing season. And, you know, not 1,000, just give me 600 yards and show me you can play 16 games. And I was disagreeing with him. Oh, he's young. He just needs the opportunity. He just needs the right support. And Bill Simmons was right. And so I think had he been held to a standard and been held accountable, the guy could have been something great. But he just keeps getting opportunity after opportunity for doing nothing. And it's convincing him like, well, this is all I got to do is grift.